really dry.
Look at that tree smashed into the ground.
Dense? Dry, yeah.
Dry.
It's really hard ground.
I mean, very solid.
Look at all the roses.
Well, good morning everyone. Today we're harvesting. We're doing a lot of different things. We're actually down at what we call our second property. This is a piece of land that we bought shortly after moving here, so almost 3 years ago, and we haven't really been down here much this year. We were waiting for the snow to melt. We were waiting for the mud to kind of dry up, and this is what it looks like now. It's actually really nice down here. There's a lot of mosquitoes, but we haven't done much with this place since last season. We do have plans to work on this year. We're waiting on a few things to happen, but we will be down here working at some point. But like I mentioned, today we're just gonna be harvesting a few things. We're gonna do spruce tips, some rose petals, and see what else we can find.
The mosquitoes are atrocious.
So let's kind of just take a look around. We still got the piles of stumps. Got one big one here. And most of the trees we took down here were quaking aspen. It's not the most desirable firewood, and we have plenty of firewood right now. We just have it all stacked up. So we'll probably have to end up doing something with it. Last summer we rented a big wood chipper. It was like a trailer one, and we chipped a lot of brush. This is just one of the piles, and I think we have 4 of them this size. So we've got a lot of wood chips out here. This is kind of the end of the driveway. I think it's about 200 feet long, and it goes out to the road that way. And then this area right here is just the big area, kind of like a big building area that we cleared out. And there's the big pile of stumps. That's the big problem here. Still haven't figured out exactly what we're doing with that. We do have some ideas. We're trying to work some things out, so hopefully soon we can get rid of this thing. So walking around out here, Arielle and I are both pretty impressed with how solid the ground is in the fall when we were working out here with that excavator. There's a little bit of mud, but it actually dried up really well. We have some nice solid ground out here. It's a really cool piece of property. It's kind of more like in the town, so you have more, I guess, town stuff down here. It's kind of close to a small airport. You get to see a lot of cool planes flying over here. We get a lot of questions about this property and what it's for and what we're gonna do. And we'd love to answer those questions, but we don't really know. We just know we want to build something out here. We're not really sure exactly what we're going to do with it yet. We're still kind of thinking things through and kind of going with the flow, seeing what happens.
The one question we can't answer is that this is not for us, this place down here. I mean, like Eric said, we don't really know where our future holds for us, but we tend to develop this for rental purposes most likely. We're very, very happy where we're at, where we live, and I just want to show you guys there's a really cool bog. Actually, I think it's more of a marsh. It's not a bog like where we live, but it's a really pretty view out past the trees. The plan is to open up this view with taking down a few more trees, but you can actually get a nice view of it if you're coming in along the kind of windy driveway. Sorry, Bo, stepped on you. So you kind of see the view through the trees, and those are black spruce out there, similar to what we have where we live, just indicating that it's cooler and there's quite a bit of moisture out there. This year has been kind of, I'd say, more dry, so there's really not moisture out there right now, but sometimes there is water out there, and there's blueberries out there. There is state land behind us. It's about 3 1/4 acreage. It's a nice little plot, and land like that is really awesome in the winter because it provides really good snow machine riding. So although it's not quite usable for building, it is really, really pretty to look at, and it is nice in the winter. So you can tell this mound is really high, and it has a lot of dirt in it and root balls. When we came out here in the fall, the ground was a little bit frozen, so Eric was not able to shake all the dirt off the roots. And honestly, this is just a problem. Like Eric said, I mean, this area needs to be developed. We want to develop it, and so we can't really bury this. That's going to be a problem in the future. burning it is really not an option. I don't know if you can quite grasp the size behind me, especially with all the dirt and being wildfire season around here. So we're looking at probably having it removed and getting it out of our hair. Okay, we're moving on to what we came here to do, which is harvesting some spruce tips and wild rose flowers. So these are the wild roses, and they are opening up. And I actually really like to pick them when they're like this, so they're still in like the bud form. And this is one rose bush. They grow prolifically out here, but in general, you want to try not to harvest all of the flowers from one particular plant or bush. So I'm going to take just probably 2 little flowers. They're definitely not as fragrant as something you'd grow at home, but they have a nice smell to them. Really delicate. There's a lot of high bush cranberries out here too, and those are really good to pick in the fall once we've had some frost. They're just starting to develop. We have a lot out here. Look like little grapes or something. Got fireweed, of course, and dogwood. Cute little white flower. There's a lot of Labrador out here. Labrador tea looks like this. They have really pretty white little flowers. And Eric and I have harvested those for tea. It's pretty potent stuff and you want to be careful how you use it. But I wasn't actually a big fan of it, so we're not going to be harvesting much of that this year. It looks a lot like rosemary, and it has this fuzzy underside to its leaf. So pretty easy to identify. There's something else that looks like it. It's called bog rosemary. It's quite a bit different in my opinion. It has a pink little flower, and that is toxic. So I think, actually, I'm really not sure if this is turkey tail. I usually know what turkey tail looks like. I found it once before here, not on this property, but the types of trees and land we have here would be pretty appropriate for turkey tail to grow. You usually find it on dead trees or ones that have, fallen. And it looks a lot like it. It's fuzzy on the top. It has rings on it, kind of like a turkey tail, and then the underside looks just like how they're supposed to look. However, these are really light, and I haven't seen them look like that. Usually they have darker bands with some orange and like red colors. So I'm gonna take one of these home and then I'll check if that's what it is. So green and lush. The month of June here, everything just comes to life. It's crazy. It's all like dormant in the winter. Some of it even goes back to the ground. This is the Labrador tea, and it has really nice new growth on the tips, and there's a bunch of roses. I'm going to get those. Look at them, they're already falling. This is twisted stalk, and it has the little berries. Well, they're little white flowers, but those are going to turn into watermelon berries. Pretty cool. This is a neat find. Out here is where the blueberries predominantly are, that flower at least, and we have wild irises. We have a bunch of these back in our bog where we keep the bees, and they are outstanding flowers. I mean, I don't even think I've ever even seen anything that pretty. Look at those. Gorgeous. You cannot eat those, I believe. I think you may be able to eat a part of the plant early in the season, but don't take my word on that. I'm pretty sure they're not edible. There's a lot of roses out here. Another neat thing is this birch tree that we tapped two years ago. We tapped it a while ago, and I personally only tapped the trees once. You can tap them again, but this one we pulled it out, the tap out or the spile, and we let it heal, and you can see it filled in, so it's doing really well. So it'd probably be a long time before I were to tap this particular tree again. Looks like we have enough rose petals. We are going to head out to a different spot because I was mistaken, and these spruce tips are actually a little bit too far along down here. I didn't realize we had black spruce down here too. Those are the ones that seem ready, but we want to harvest from the white spruce, and those just too far. So we know back where we're at, it's a better place, and we're just gonna keep looking around, go a few other places, see if we can find some other stuff.
Well, we found a frog. We don't see frogs too often here, and he's right here under this leaf. Pretty cool little frog.
There's only one kind.
Yeah, there's only one kind of frog here, and
where is he?
Right down there. Is he under the thing?
He is completely camouflaged. What a gorgeous little man.
We've made it to our second destination. We're looking for the spruce tips here, and I think we're gonna find some. A lot of spruce out here. Some of these are a little too far along, but we are finding some nice small fresh ones like that. That's what we're after. These things are actually really good. We like these ones. Seems like we're getting the best ones off these smaller trees, but again, with these, you don't want to harvest all of them off the tree. You still want the tree to grow. But we did find some bluebells. Looks kind of like comfrey, and these are really good. They're not ready yet. The flowers get a lot bigger, and you can kind of just pick them on the trail, and you can eat the little flower, and it's like really sweet, like a honeysuckle almost. So a little longer for those.
Well, we lucked out today. We got out here just in time. It's definitely a little bit too late to be harvesting these. I like to get them when they're a little bit thicker. You get more from the spruce tip to me because you have to harvest a lot to make things with them. So we're not going to be able to harvest as much as we had hoped for, but that's okay. We're still getting some. I got confused earlier. I was looking at a lot of our black spruce. Unfortunately, they're smaller and they look the same when they're growing. So if you are harvesting spruce tips, what you want to look for is when they first start to have this little brown papery coating, and that's the outside of the bud, and then the bud will just continue to grow, and as it grows, it spreads out. It doesn't stay as dense as this, and then it becomes really rough and not as delicate, just like the needles of the plant. So this is a little weird. We found more mature, well, it's a young one, but it's a little bit delayed. This is what they look like when they're a little bit earlier in the season. Pretty cool.
Perfect, not a bad haul, and we're gonna head home. Hop in. Okay, we're on the way back to the house, and we found some bluebells that are further along. These ones are actually ready to eat. Let's try one of these. Oh yeah, that one I just had, that was really sweet. That had that honeysuckle flavor. These are good, but we're harvesting some of these and we're gonna make some tea out of it. Welcome to the side of our road. This is where we get our dandelions. They don't really grow out in the wild. You kind of need to have an area that's been cut down, and that seems to be where we find the most dandelions. Arielle's gonna be making something with all these. Probably gonna pick a little bowl full. They smell really good. Exactly like honey. That's crazy. I'm just smelling my hand. Another thing I want to mention is last year we went along the front of our property and we dug up some small spruce trees from the back of our property and we planted them out here. I think we did like 20 trees. This is one right here. This is one, and we are very proud to say that every single one of them made it through the winter. They're all extremely healthy. So it's kind of cool. We didn't know if it was going to work, and it worked. So maybe in a few years we'll have some nice big trees here on the front. We're going to get a few more of these little dandelions. Man, that is crazy. Just like honey. It tastes like peanut butter honey is what these smell like.
We're back in the kitchen with the stuff that we harvested. I've got the spruce tips set aside, and we're first starting on our rose petals and our dandelion flowers. We are going to be making syrup. It's really, really simple. You have to make a tea with the petals. We're gonna let the tea steep basically overnight, and then tomorrow we will reduce it with sugar and get it ready for canning. We made a batch of the syrup last week and we were very thrilled with it. That's why we're making another round of it. So I'm gonna get these flowers dumped out and we're just gonna start processing them. When Eric was picking these dandelion flowers, he picked a little bit of the greens, which in my opinion, I don't really see how you can pick them without that, but I have read that that can be a little bit bitter. So we're really just looking for the petals. And what I found works is to just take a pair of scissors and cut them at the base. And then you pretty much end up with just the petals. So I'm gonna put the petals in a little bowl and I'm just gonna compost the greens. Both dandelion flowers and rose petals are pretty readily available to find, and I know they're probably often overlooked, but they're really awesome. This is something kind of new to us. We haven't really done that much with dandelions. In the past, we've dug up their roots and tried that for tea, but recently we made that syrup, and like Eric was saying, they really taste and smell just like honey. It's kind of strange. It's really, really good. A lot of people make salves out of these, but we feel like the food is our medicine, so that's what we're gonna be making. As we know, dandelions are super easy to find, and you can eat the root, the leaves, the petals. You can use all of it if you want. With the last batch, we actually dried some of these. I cut them the same way, laid them out on a towel, and just let them sit for a few days, and they dried up really nicely, and we've got this tea mixture. So I'm really excited to try this in the winter. And as far as the roses go, I'm a huge fan of roses in general. I think they smell absolutely divine. These ones are a little bit like less potent than the ones you grow. And in my opinion, although they smell great, they really weren't good for tea. I dried a lot of them and they almost tasted a little bitter when we added them to tea. I don't know if I was steeping them too long, so I'm just not gonna do that. We made jelly with them last year and that turned out really good, but we did make that syrup, and the syrup is absolutely awesome. We ate it the other day on pancakes. I'm sure it would be good in other desserts, on ice cream. It's just really, really very useful for us. There's a wealth of information online about these two flowers, and the sky is the limit with what you want to do with them. I mean, it's really overwhelming, honestly, but you can eat them fresh all the way to turn them into soap or add them into soap. I've got to finish up these flowers. We're going to get them rinsed and cleaned up, and then we're going to be steeping them. The petals are rinsed and ready to go in our quart. I think we had about 4 cups when they were dry, and now it's more like 2 cups condensed. And I'm going to do maybe 3 cups of water, however much fits in here. There's a few different ways to do this. Generally, I would like steep the petals in some water on the stovetop, maybe for like 15 minutes, but when I was doing some reading, this is the more common method that people are using now, so that's what I'm gonna do. And we're just gonna pour the hot water over our petals. And we're just gonna add the lid and a rim, and we're gonna put this aside and let this sit until tomorrow. We gotta repeat the process with the roses. So same thing, I'm just gonna clean them up, rinse them, and I'm going to be pulling off the green part and the little seeds on the inside. Lots of roses. So we were using about the same amount of petals for the roses, maybe a little bit more. And last time I think I just picked the petals so they were a little bit easier to clean. This is definitely probably a little bit more. But I'm still going to add the same amount of water. I'm a really big fan of blending things that we harvest for teas or for jellies, things like that. But roses have a strong flavor. And if you do that with the clover, it will just overpower. I mean, you'll get predominantly the rose flavor. So that is why I am keeping them separate. We're going to get this covered up and then we're going to start on our spruce tips. Well, I started to clean these, but not cleaning up quite how I expected. The little brown husk usually comes off a little bit easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure it's off all of them. Now these guys are really awesome. I mean, when we first tried these, I think we were both kind of caught off guard or a little surprised because you would think they would taste like the woods. So like a tree or piney or something. They do not. They taste like citrus. It's very strange. I mean, they're delicious. They don't really smell like citrus, but once you start processing them, they do. We made some jelly last year, and personally, I wasn't a big fan of it because it got very artificially jelly tasting, kind of like a cleaner, and that's not exactly what I wanted our jelly to taste like. But we did bake with them and we cooked with them. I think we made pesto. They turned out awesome in those recipes. That citrus flavor was really good. I had hoped to save extra this year for freezing, for teas, or for baking with. We made some shortbread cookies last year and those were really good. You can also dry them. I haven't tried that. I've just read that freezing them is the best. And I don't know if we're gonna have extra today, but we definitely have enough for what we wanted to do. A really common recipe I found online for these is spruce tip salt, and we have yet to try that. It sounds awesome. So that's what we're going to be making, and we're also infusing them with chives in vinegar because it's salad season for us, and we like to make our own dressing, and we use vinegars. And we did that last year, and it turned out really awesome. The vinegar really absorbed all of those things that we put in it, so I'm excited for that. There's a lot of things you can do with these. They're high in vitamin C. We're going to be making some stuff for dinner out of them. I'm going to rinse these again and we're going to get started on our salt. This salt is really easy to make. It is virtually a 50-50 ratio, but I'm going to use a little bit more spruce tips, just my preference, and I'm going to get them chopped up. If you have a food processor, this would be a good time to get that out and use it. So I'm going to get this all roughly chopped up and then I'll add half a cup of our kosher salt here. I'm going to kind of lightly chop that too. And then we're going to be putting it on a wax paper and just letting it dry. You could also use a food dehydrator or even throw it in your oven on really low. We like to air dry our stuff. All right, that gave my arm a good workout. You can totally smell it now. It's kind of cool. I'm just gonna dump all the salt on there and get it mixed in here. I imagine this is gonna take a little while to dry. The salt will probably pull the moisture out of that spruce tips. That looks good to me. I'm gonna get this transferred to our tray. I haven't done it before. I'm just thinking it's going to take a few days to get this all the way dry. I'm going to set this by our wood stove and we're going to get started on our infusion. This part could not be more simple. It's quite literally just putting what you want for flavor in a jar. So we're doing chives with some of the flowers. I think those are going to be complementary to the spruce tip. And we're just going to add maybe like a 1/4 cup. Maybe a little more. Then we're going to pour some white wine vinegar. That's my favorite. You don't have to use that type of vinegar. We're going to seal it up and let her sit in an area that doesn't receive direct sunlight, so the back of our kitchen. We're going to let it sit for about a week's time, and then we're going to use it. You can let it sit longer too. It'll just get more potent. Well, we've worked up an appetite. Eric's going to make us a dinner outside with our spruce tips. But first I have to make some dressing for us. We're gonna add some basil to this dressing. Picked some of it yesterday. And then we're gonna add olive oil, mayonnaise, mustard, balsamic. I've got the white wine vinegar again, and then I usually put a little bit of honey and some salt and pepper. Well, that is delicious. We're gonna go meet up with Eric in the garden outside.
Great time of year right now. Salad season. We've made it through winter eating nothing but canned food and meat. So we're craving greens. We've been eating these huge salads. That's what we're gonna make tonight. We got a butterhead lettuce I'm on harvest, a couple bok choy, and some mustard greens. And then we're gonna get to cooking dinner. To top our salad, we're gonna do kind of like a battered fried salmon. We're gonna fry it in some moose tallow. We're gonna do some spruce tips in the batter, some basil, and some chives. In the batter also, we have flour and salt and a little bit of baking powder because I want it to rise just a little bit. Okay, not only are we gonna batter and fry the fish, I got the skin over here cut into some strips. We're gonna batter and do some fried salmon skin too. So let's start with these nice chunks of meat. This salmon should not take too long to cook, so we're also gonna make some tea tonight. Arielle processed the bluebells and some of their leaves, and we also have some spruce tips in here. Spruce tips make an awesome tea. It's almost like a lemon tea. I'm gonna get the kettle going. We get our French press here. We're gonna make a little bit of tea, go with our meal. Okay, these look good. We got another batch, 2 more pieces of salmon, and we got 4 pieces of skin. This should be good. Salmon is just about done. We're gonna get our salad mixed up with the dressing in there. We like to go all out on our salad, so we buy a few ingredients to make them just really good. We're doing sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and some dried cranberries. And then we'll put some of our salad dressing. We've made more, so we can have some leftovers, and tomorrow's salad will be easy. Salmon is done. We're gonna get things plated up and we are gonna eat. We're starving.
You want salmon on your salad?
Yes, please.
You want I'm gonna eat my skin fresh.
Okay. Oh, look at that green color of that tea. A little basil in there.
It's all that fresh green. Do you want me to kind of break your salmon up too for you? Over?
No.
Okay. We already tried this. It's awesome. We don't usually bread our stuff, but we don't usually bread our fish, but I mean, it's good. It's good.
That tea, that is very good.
What'd you do with the basil?
Oh, I put a leaf of basil in there. Okay. Bottoms up. Sockeye salmon. Very mild, delicious salmon.
The dressing, to me, I can taste the spruce tip. I don't know why I get more of like the herb mixture.
Yeah, you're right.
Did you taste a little lemon?
In the salmon, I can't taste the spruce tips at all. I put a lot in there. Let's try the salad.
Good, I can't
Oh my god.
It's hard to say. It's good though.
Great salad. Lemony, herby.
Where's the spruce tip?
Oh yeah, I made a little fried spruce tip. That's just spruce tips whole in the batter. Oh, you can taste them in there. That's really good.
Like
Lemony.
what, lemon?
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you can totally taste them in there. That's good.
That was a really hard flavor to describe. Citrus is just like the way. I mean, it's not quite like lemon, but it's similar.
Honestly, this right here, just the spruce tips fried in that batter, I'm saying right now, is just as good as that salmon. It's got its own
Skin.
Okay. Oh, the skin's good.
What a beautiful meal, babe. Thank you.
Spruce tips are awesome.
It's awesome to incorporate the spruce tips into a meal.
It is.
And it's also awesome just to make something with just spruce tips, right? Because then you get the real pronounced flavor.
And it's honestly, spruce tips I feel like are one of those things that is so easy to go out and get. You just have to time it right. We almost missed it. We got some. Awesome meal. They're great in this.
Oh.
Can I get a bite?
We finished dinner, and all in all, that was a pretty great meal.
It was awesome, and believe it or not, it is actually 9:30 at night right now. We're beat, we're exhausted, we're gonna hit the sack, but we'll catch up with you guys tomorrow when we finish up on our syrup.
I gotta finish myself. All right, we are getting started on our dandelion and rose syrup. And Eric mentioned we should make something for them to go on top of. So we're gonna do some impromptu scones. I've already got the dough ready and I'm just gonna roll it out and maybe make 4 or 6 scones. And we're gonna get those in the oven and get started on our syrup. Sometimes I like to add things to our scones, like chocolate chips or something like that. But because we're gonna be having the syrup on it, I'm just gonna do them plain. I've already kind of prepared for this. We've got 6 jars cleaned, and I've got our sugar out, the lids, and the bands. And this is what the teas look like. This is the rose petal tea. It's turned pink. And then this is the dandelion tea. I'm going to add a strainer to our pot and just pour this in. Oh, it kind of sealed from yesterday. You can leave the petals or put petals in the jelly and the jam. I've yet to try that. I think what I would do is set some aside when we harvested them and save those fresh ones. But we're actually just going to be taking it all out. I'm just going to use this same one on this pot. Oh man. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm gonna add a cup of sugar to each of them. You can add more sugar. It's really probably a little bit under 3 cups of water, so I don't want to add that much sugar. It's gonna reduce down quite a bit. I'm gonna keep it on low and maybe let it simmer for half an hour. I'm just gonna kind of look for the consistency, keep an eye out for the consistency that I'm looking for. Both of our syrups are almost ready. They've reduced down for probably about half an hour. And I can just tell they're a little bit thicker. So I'm going to add half a lemon to each of them. This part's really cool for the rose petals because they get dull when they process in the hot water. But once you add the lemon, they instantly go back to that really bright pink color. I'm also going to get some water heated up for our lids. And our scones are done. All right, I'm ready to put this into some jars. I'm thinking it's only going to be 2 jars each, 2 half pints. That one was the perfect amount. We have 2 half pints. I hope we have a little extra of this one because I want Eric to try it. And I'm just gonna save this extra for trying out. It's really hot right now, but it's thicker, I can tell. And I need to wipe these with some vinegar. We're gonna get the lids on and we're gonna be water bathing these for 15 minutes. Since our water's just heating up, I'm not going to add these to the water bath yet, but I just want to show you the color. So pretty. Looks just like honey, honestly. And then the rose one is really exuberant. Looks like watermelon. We're going to let the dandelion syrup cool just a little bit, and then Eric's going to be trying them on those scones.
Well, Arielle told me to let this one cool, and I haven't let it cool long enough. It's still pretty warm, but I'm really hungry, so I'm going to try this. It smells really good. This is the rose one. It's the same one she just made, but she just made this the other day, so this one's already nice and thick. The rose one's really good. We tried this the other day. To me, it's like better than maple syrup. It's like a really rose tasting syrup, so this one's really good. The scones are delicious. Arielle did an egg wash on them. So those turned out really good. And I haven't tried the dandelion one yet, so let's try that one. That one's awesome too. Hard to describe that one. Tastes kind of like if you would buy like honey that was like really flowery. So that one's also really good. Both delicious. Well, I'm gonna finish my scone. The syrup is just about to come out of the water bath canner, and we'll see you guys next time.